video, I'm going to show you how to build a polls application with Django. A polls is simply a kind of voting system whereby you're able to submit your opinions on polls questions. For example, I have some list of polls questions. The first one says, which of this is your favorite framework? The second one says, which of this is your favorite programming language? And the last one is, choose your favorite backend framework. Each of these post questions have options attached to them. So I'm going to click the first one. You can see now it says, which of these is your favorite framework? I have Angular, Django, Vue, jQuery. So I'm going to pick, let's say, Django. So submit. You can see we are on the result page. We have Angular 19%, Django 17, Vue 20, and jQuery 53%. So I'm going to go back to the home page again. Let's pick a different post question. So you can see, choose your favorite backend framework: Django, Laravel, Spring, Express.js. So let's pick Spring. So submit. You can see Django is 10%, Laravel 0, Spring 5, Express 0. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a simple post application like this with Django. So without further ado, we are getting started right now. Okay, so now we're going to be creating a simple Django project. So I'm going to CD into my desktop. So come down here to the terminal, CD into desktop. Okay, after that now, I'm going to simply, you must make sure you have Python installed. If you don't have Python installed, Django isn't going to work, understand? So I'm going to simply run this command, Django admin, start projects. Let's call this polls. Enter. So it's going to take some time. Okay, so now after that, we're going to go into the directory called polls. We're going to say cd polls. So now after we've done that, we can now run the server, which is Python manage.py run server. I'm going to run on the different ports because the default port is in use. So now our server is working fine, so I can simply copy this and paste on my browser, this URL. So let's see if everything works fine. Let's watch. So our Django project is running successfully. Okay, so now we can open the Django project called polls. So go down to our desktop, I'm going to say file, open folder. So once open the Django project, so it's in the desktop area of our computer. So let me check the desktop. It's called polls. Okay, here it is. Select folder. So now we need to create an app for our Django project. So I'm going to create an app called polls app. I'm going to say Python manage.py start app polls app, or let's say polls app is okay. So that's okay. It has been created. You can look up here, you can see we have the app called polls app. So what we need to do is that we need to go and register this app in the polls setting.py. So up in the Django's project called polls, there's a file called settings.py. We need to register our app down there. So let's go there to register this app. Look for settings.py. Look for the installed apps in settings.py. So we're gonna get our app registered here. You're gonna say polls app. So save. So after we've done this, now we can open our polls app. So look for the views.py. So we need to create a simple view. We're gonna simply say we're gonna create 3 views. For example, the one I created earlier has 3 views. It has the home view, the detail view, and what we call the result view. So we're going to create 3 views for the poll application now. So let's go do that right now. I'm going to say def. This is going to be for the index view, for the home view. Def index requests. Hope you're familiar with this. I'm going to return render request going to simply say index.html. So I'm going to create this index right away, this HTML page. So I'm going to put in the context. So I'm going to copy this for the 3 other views. So I'm going to change this to votes, the vote view, and the results view. I'm going to call this votes.html and results.html. Okay, yes, now so save. So I need to, so what I want to do now is I want to create these templates. I need to create this template. But okay, before I do that, let's create a URL mapping for these views. You need to create a URL mapping for the views. So instead of my post, I'm going to create a file called urls.py. urls.py file. So in there, I'm going to simply say from Django.urls import paths. So I'm going to also import the views module. I'm going to say from dot. The dot refers to the post app. From dot import views. Okay, after that now I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a variable called URL patterns. URL patterns should be equal to a list of. Going to be equal to a list of URL paths. The first one going to be empty. The first one is going to be empty paths. I'm going to simply say views dot index. I'm going to have a name argument. It's going to be equal to index. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for the remaining other views. I'm going to simply say paths. I'm going to say votes for the vote page. It's going to be views dot votes, and name should be equal to votes. So I'm going to simply copy this and paste. I'm going to call this. Oh, this should be outside. So I'm going to call this results. Results, and this is going to be called views.results, and this will be called results. So you can save. We've made the paths for the views. We've created the URL mapping for the views. So now we need to go down to the to the project URLs.py file and register this particular URLs we have here. Understand? This is the project URLs.py file. So we need to go down there and make sure we register our app URLs.py file. So I'm going to create a new path. So I'm going to say paths. It's going to be this. So I'm going to put polls in the path. Polls. So I'm going to also include. I'm going to say include. What's it called again? Polls app dot URLs. Understand? Include polls app dot URLs. So now this post we have here is going to be a prefix. For example, before we can access anything, any of our URLs, any of our URL mapping, we are going to make sure we prefix the URLs with posts before we can get to the particular place, any particular place we are trying to get to. Understand? Any particular URL we are trying to get to. We must make sure we prefix it with posts. Understand? So now I'm going to simply import include. So from Django.urls imports include. So that's it. So save your work now. So I think that's done. So let's see. So now let's go create our templates. So we want to make sure we create our templates for this project. So let's do that together now. So in my Post app, the Django project app, which is called Post app, I'm going to create a folder called templates. Templates. So in this folder, I'm going to create some basic HTML templates. The first one called index.html. The next one called votes.html, and the last one called results.html. So that's all we need for this. I'm also going to create a base template where the index, the vote, and the results are going to inherit from. So let's create a template called base.html. I'm gonna call it base.html. So we've done this right now. So let's see if they are all working. So for the index, I'm gonna simply put in index page. Oh no. I'm gonna simply say index page. I'm gonna confirm if our configuration is working. So I'm gonna simply copy this for the, make sure it's saved. For the results, I'm gonna paste this here. I'm gonna put this as result page. Make sure they are all working. Result page, save. And for the votes, put this as the votes page. So save now. So let's get down to our, get down here and click. Let's see if it's working. For polls, oh, our server is down. So we're gonna run server again. Python manage a spy. Run server. So let's see. So our server is up. Go back to the page again and refresh. Perfect. So let's go to /votes. This is for the index page /votes. Oh, it said not working. Select our URL mapping. Up all as well. It's called votes. To save these. So refresh the page. It's still not working. Okay, so let's look for the problem together. So you can look, if you look closely here, you need to put in this /. Just put that there. Put the /. If you did not put it here, you can put the / over here, just at the beginning of this. Understand? But since we've added to the first one, so let's save your work now and get back to the browser. Refresh. Perfect. You can see the vote page is showing. So let's do the results page. Oh, result and not result. Results. Perfect. Now, so the views and the URLs have been configured properly now. So I'm going to get the actual templates for this project. So I'm going to get the actual templates so we can start this fully. Now let's create the actual templates for this project. So now I have this open here. Here are my templates. I have the base.html, I have the index, the results, the vote.html, understand? So I'm going to copy them into our project. So I'm going to copy the base.html. Remember, the base is where we inherit, where other HTML files inherit from. So I'm going to copy this and bring into the main project you're working in. So where's our base? I'm going to open the base.html we have here, which is this base.html. So I'm going to paste this here. So this is our base.html. It all consists of the navigation bar, this nav bar we have here. You can see the nav bar we have here. Each of the page has this nav bar. So that's what the base.html holds. It holds the nav bar. So now let's see what it looks like. Okay, here is the nav bar. So, and for this now, I'm also going to use the blog tag, which is this, the blog tag. I'm going to simply remove the comments from this. I'm going to say blog contents. You understand? So I'm going to put in H1 here. I'm going to put in an H1. Simply say hello world. Hello world. Okay, so as I said earlier, other templates will inherit from this template. So whatever the template holds are going to be passed into this block content. Understand? So just save this now. So I'm going to go down to my index.html index. I'm going to make sure it is inheriting from the base template. I'm going to make sure it is inheriting from the base template. I'm going to say extend base.html. Okay. So now I'm going to copy. So I'm going to make sure I copy the index.html code. Here it is. Ctrl A, Ctrl C. So I'm going to bring it down to our main project and make sure it's inside the block content, because the base.html has a block content. We'll say block content and block. Make sure you always end the block. end block. So I'm going to paste that here. Okay, that's done. Yes, so I can save my work now. Save. So do the same thing for the result page. Make sure it's inheriting from the base templates. Extends base.html. So make sure I'm going to copy the templates, which is this. Bring it back here. I'm going to paste it over here. Make sure it's inside the blog contents. And end block. Okay, here it is now. So we're gonna save my work. So I'm gonna pause this video right now and do the same for the vote.html templates. So now I'm through with configuring the templates. So they are now working properly. So what I have to do next is this now. So I need to work on the static files. I have some custom CSS I added to this project. So I need to make sure they are also included to this project. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a simple folder called static. Gonna be called static. Okay, so in this folder, I'm going to create a folder called CSS in the static folder. So I'm going to say CSS. So inside the CSS folder, I'm going to create a file called style.css. Style.css. Okay, I think that's all for now. So I have the code to my style.css right here. So I'm going to just copy all this and paste here. So I think all should be working. Before I proceed, make sure I'm going to go down to my settings.py file and make sure I configure the static file to work properly. So you have to scroll down. So here we have the static URL. Create a new variable called static files directories equal to the base directory slash the folder called static. So that's all you need to do to save your work. So now come down to the base.html file. The base.html. So now if we look up here, I have a link. So I'm going to link to that my CSS file in the static folder. So I need to link to it now. So I'm going to simply do that now. I'm going to put the curly braces. So after that, the percent sign. Okay, after I've done this now, I'll simply do URL, not URL, sorry, static. The name of the folder is called static. Understand? And so I'm going to do this now, css slash style.css. So I think I can save my work now. Everything should be working properly. You can see how this looks like. So we've made it look. We've added some bootstrap and some CSS. So let's see how it's going to look like. Oh, okay. It's saying we forgot to load the static tag. So get down to your base.html and make sure you put in this line of code load static. Load static. So save now, get onto the browser, refresh the page once more. Okay, you can see this look, you can see the results page. Get down to the home page. Let's see how the home page looks like. Perfect. You can see the home page looking beautiful. Let's see the vote page. Enter. Perfect. This is how we want it to be. So we fixed the template already. So now let's go down to make this look dynamic. Want to make this dynamic. This is kind of static right now. So let's make it dynamic, whereby the questions are coming from the database. Understand? So let's do that right now. So now we are through the HTML templates. We are through it, rendering the template. So now we're going to head straight to our models.py so you can create some database content. So let's do that. So I'm going to go down to my models.py file. So models.py. So yeah, I'm going to create a class called, I'm going to call this class question. It's going to inherit from our models.model. So the first this is going to have an attribute called, I'm going to say, let's call this question. Let's say question text should be equal to models dot character field max length. Should it be so? Max length should be equal to, let's say 300. Okay, that's it now. So I'm going to create a different model for our choices. So I'm going to say class choice, no, models.model, models.model. So I'm going to create a kind of relationship between the question and choice, a many to one relationship. I'm going to use a foreign key to connect the question model to the choice model. So I'm going to, so a question can have different choice, can have many choice under it instead. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to simply say question should be equal to models dot foreign key. So I'm going to call the model called question. After I've done that, so I'm going to simply say models on delete should be equal to models. Oh no, models at cascade. So I'm going to also put in the related name. This is going to enable me to like be able to connect from the question model to this choice model. I'm going to serve as a connection. Related name, I'm going to call this choices. So that's it now. So I'm going to also create the choice. I'm going to create an attribute called options. I'm going to say options should be equal to models dot character field max length should be equal to, let's say, 100. That's good. I'm gonna create the vote attribute. So vote should be equal to models dot integer field and default should be 0. So save your work. So now I'm going to create a string. I'm going to call this. I'm going to create this that string function. Def xtr should be what is it called again? Self. I'm simply say return self dot question. So I'm going to change this to question. I remove the question text. So I'm going to remove the text. So copy this for the choice model. Paste and change this to options. Simply call this option. So save your work now. So I'm going to simply run a migration. So get onto the terminal, manage.py, make migrations. Okay, so we're going to migrate now. Python manage.py migrates. So it's been migrated. So now after this, we are going to create a super user that's going to have access to the admin panel, to the admin section. So we're going to create a super user that's going to have access to the admin section. So I'm going to say Python manage.py create super user. So I'm going to simply say Clint email address clint@gmail.com, password yes, and run server Python manage.py run server 8001. So let's see. So now after we've done this now, once we get down to the admins, let's get down to the admin section. So we're gonna say 127 and we're gonna put in 1/admin. So I'm gonna put in my username and my password, Clint and 1234. Okay, now you can see, oh, our models are not showing here. So let's go down to the admin.py file so you can register our models there. So there's a file called admin.py file in your Post app. Open that file and register your Django models over there. So I'm going to import the Django models. I'm going to say from dot models imports question and choices and choice. So save. So I'm going to register both of them. I'm going to say admin dot site dot register. I'm going to simply say choice. I'm going to change this to question now. So save your work. Go down to the admin section and refresh the page. You can see we have the choices and a question. Oh, I don't like the way it's arranged. I want the choice. I want the question to come first. Control C, Control X rather, Control V and save. Ooh, save. So let's see how it's gonna look like. Refresh. Oh, it has been done already. So now I'm gonna create some questions and attach choices to each of those questions, some options to the questions. So let's create some questions together. Okay. So I'm gonna say which of these is your favorite coding channel? Which of these is your favorite coding channel? So that's one question. So I'm gonna add three questions to this pose. So I'm gonna say which of these is your favorite programming language? Which of these is your favorite programming language? So I'm gonna add another pose question. I'm gonna put in which of these is your favorite text editor? Which of these is your favorite text editor? So save. So now I have three questions now. So I'm going to add choices to these questions. Choices. So add. Okay. So I'm going to pick. So for the first question, which is which of these is your favorite coding channel? So I'm going to simply put. Let's say programming with Smosh. Programming with Smosh. So I'm going to save another. For the same, for the first question also, I'm also going to put in um, the Net Ninja. So save and add another. So I'm going to put in again. Let's say I'm going to call this free code camp. Free code camp. And the last one, I'll simply put in. What should I call this? So I'll call this dev ed. This is my favorite dev ed. So I'm going to save now. Add another one. So I'm going to pick a different question now. So now I'm going to pick the second question I have here. Which of this is your favorite programming language? So I'm going to simply put JavaScript. Save another. Put in Python next. Python, save. I'm gonna put in what's good? I'm gonna call this P. Let's say Java. Save again, and put in C sharp. C sharp. Okay, and save. So I'm adding 4 options to each question. So I'm going to pick the last question now. It says, which of these is your favorite text editor? So we have VS Code, my favorite. So save. I'm going to call this Sublime Text. Save. I'm going to call the next one Brackets. Save. And last but not the least, Vim. So I'm going to simply save. So now we have some choices and we have some questions. We have these questions and we have choices attached to each question. So now what we want to do next, I want to return our questions down to the template. So now let's get onto our views.py right now. The views.py. So you're going to simply import the question and choice model. So we're going to say from .models import question and the choice. So now so inside the index view, I'm going to simply say questions should be equal to question dot objects dot all. So now I'm going to pass this variable into my context dictionary. So I'm going to put in there questions questions. Yeah. So save your work now. So I'm going to go down to my index.html. Index.html. Where are you? Into my templates. So yes, so I'll only need one of these now. So I'm going to run a for loop. A for loop. I'm going to run that here. So I'll simply run a for loop here. I'm going to say for question in questions. So what am I going to do? The for loop should be inside, should not be outside. So I'm going to remove others and I just need only one. The for loop will create the remaining ones for me. So I'm going to simply end the for here. And for, okay, so as I have for question in questions, so I'm have here, I'm going to simply come over here. Put in the curly braces, question dot question. This first question, you can see from the for loop we have here, it says this questions holds list of questions we have in the database, and this question we have here points to the individual questions in these questions we have here. So now up now then I can see you can see we have question. So let me break this down. So the first question we have here is from here. And the second question we have here is from our model, from these attributes here. You understand? So now save your work on the index.html. So save your work. So after you've saved, get down to the browser. So make sure you get down to the home page, remove the votes, enter. So you can see now we have our question showing. It says which of these is your favorite coding channel, which of this is your favorite programming language, and which of this is your favorite text editor. So you can see the index page is working. So we need to work next on our vote page. This is the vote page here, where we are able to vote for where we are able to pick the individual choices for each question. So let's go work on the votes view right now. So now our next task is to work on the vote page. You can see from here once I click on any of the questions we have here, it takes me to the page where I can vote. I can pick my any of my choice from here. Understand? So we want to work on this particular page on our current project. So let's go do that now. So here's the vote page here. So what I want to do is I want to pick each question by their ID. You understand? So I'm going to put in another argument called PK up here. So I'm going to I want to pick each question by their ID. So I'm going to simply say question. Now I'm picking the question individually. For me, I can see I pick them collectively, but here individually. I'm going to say question should be equal to question dot objects dot get ID equal to PK. This PK we have here is an integer. It could be 1, 2, 3, or anything. So I'm getting this question by their ID, you understand? And this PK is an integer. So after I've done that now, so I want to get the choices, the options for a particular question. You can see I assigned 4 options to a particular question. So I want to get those options for a particular question. So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to say options should be equal to, it's going to be equal to question, this particular question I have here. So I want to pick the choices. So I'm going to say question dot, if you remember in my models.py, I created an argument called related name. That's related name called choices. You understand? So these choices helps to connect, enables me to pick data from this question model. So I'm able to like pick data from here. I'm able to pick data from here. How will I do this now? So I'm able to pick the choices related to this question using this related name argument I have here. So I'm going to say questions or choices dot all. So let's do that right now. I'm going to simply say question dot choices dot all. So this is going to help me return the options for a particular question. Understand? So after I've done this now, what I need to do is that I need to pass this to my dictionary here. I'm going to simply say question, comma. Okay, so there should be a colon in between, and it's going to be options, the comma. So here it is now. Okay, so now I need to go down to my urls.py file and change some things there. So I need to come down here. So now what I need to do now, I'm gonna put a slash with the PK I imputed here. This PK, I need to impute it to my urls.py. So I'm gonna come down here, slash, put in this angle break brackets. So I'm gonna simply say str. This helps to convert the PK from integer to a string. So I'm going to simply say votes. This string helps to convert this pk to a string. This str helps to convert this pk to a string. So this is all I need to do now. So I can save my work, get down to my index.html. So I'll come over here. You know, it's over here. I'm going to click. So it's from this point I will click to get to the detail page of each question. Understand? So down in my index.html, so I'm going to put in this URL here. I'm going to simply put in the %sign URL with this. So I'm going to pick the name attributes here, votes. Put it here. Where's the index.html? Put it here. I'm going to say votes. And this question.id. Question.id. So simply save your work now. Save. So let's see how it's going to look like. So click on this. Refresh the page rather. Click. You can see now we're saying votes 1. Okay. Come back again. Click on this. You can see now, it's saying vote/3, but this option we have here are not the right option. This is a static option. So get down to the, all we need to do now is that we need to get down to the vote.html and put in the required data where it needs to be. So I'm going to put in here question dot question. Okay, after I've done that now, so you can see I have some list of labels, so I need only one of them. So I'm going to remove the others. So from my views.py, I call the variable options. So I'm going to loop through this option here. So I'll simply say for no, put in the percent symbol for option in options. So come down here, N4 tag, N4. So now what I need to do now, I'm going to come over here and simply put option dot, what was it called again for my models? Okay, option dot option dot option. So I think that's all for now. So save your work and let's see if it works. Come to the browser and refresh the page. Okay, you can see it's working fine. I can see which of this is your favorite text editor. We have the actual list of options. Go get down to the, so let's pick this now. Which of this is your favorite coding channel? So you have Programming with Smosh, the Net Ninja, Free Code Camp, Dev Ed. You can see they are all working. So that's how it is. So now what I need to do now is that I want to make sure that whenever I pick a particular option, +5 gets added to the votes of that option. You understand? A +5 gets added. So you can remember from the Django model, each you can remember here from here. It's loading. Just open any of them. You can see that you can see from here each of the questions as you can see each of this option has a vote instead. So what I want to do is whenever I pick any of the options for any of the post question, +5 gets added. So whenever I pick and submit, not just pick, whenever I pick and submit, +5 gets added. So that's our next task now. So let's do that right now. So let's move down to our vote.html file. Yes, just here. So yeah, let's get down here. So I'm going to close this so you can see more of this. Yes, so just in here, we have the name attributes, the choice, the name, the value. So this value, I want to make sure this value holds a number, and it's going to be option.id. Understand? Option.id. I want to get the ID of each option. Option.id. That's going to be the value of each of the various inputs. You understand? Option.id, which refers to the ID of each input. You understand? So now get down to the views.py. To our views.py, which is here. So my views.py now. So I'm going to write an if statement. So I'm going to simply say I'm going to write a condition that checks for a post request. Understand? So I'm going to say if request dot method is equal to posts. So first of all, get down to the full.html to do some editing, some adjustments down there. So let's do that. What's happening? So just here, okay, so I need to put in the CXRF token because we are going to be triggering a post request. CXRF token should be in small letters. Okay, you can see we have the method equal to post. The action means that we are submitting to the view, to the post view. You can see it's not changing. It's just that the action is blank, so it means we're submitting to the current view we are working on. So you have the CXRF token. So save now. Go on to the views again. I said if request method is equal to post, so what I want to do now, I want to get the value of each input field. Understand? I want to get the value of each input field. So I'm going to simply say I'm going to call input value should be equal to requests dot posts. So let's see what the value. So I'm going to pick up the value of our name attribute, which is equal to choice. For me to get the value of any particular input field, so I'm going to get it through this name attributes. You're going to get it through the value of the name attributes, which is choice here. So get down to the views of pi. So now I'm going to say input value should be equal to request dot post choice. So that's it now. So I've gotten the value of of the input field now. So I have the value, and the value is an integer, which is the choice ID, right? From here, the value is an integer, so I was able to get it through this name attribute. So now after I've done this, what I need to do now is this. So I want to make sure I want to get each particular option by this input value. Understand? Remember I said it's an integer. So I want to get each particular option by this input value. I'm going to simply do this option. I'm going to simply say I'm going to call this variable called selected option. So I want to pick up the selected option. So I want to get selected option. I'm going to say selected option should be equal to options dot objects dot get id equal to input value. That's it now. So I'm able to pick. So now I'm able to get access to the to individual options. Understand? So after I've gotten the after I've been able to pick the individual options, I want to pick the vote field attached to each option. Understand? So I want to pick up the vote field attached to a particular option. So I'm going to simply say select option dot vote. That's it. Dot vote. That's the vote field from our models.py. Understand? So now I'm going to simply add +5 to the votes plus equal to 5. So now I'm going to do a brief recap on what I just did now. So what I did now is that whenever we get to this particular page and we click submit, before we can click submit, we must have picked a particular option, right? Before we click submit, so once we click submit, so we are going to first of all try to get the value of the input field. The value. So as many value is 2. What we're going to do is that we're going to pick up the particular option that's, for example, just the way I did here, we're going to pick up the particular option that's equal to that 2, which is this I did here, options that get ID equal to input value. Understand? So as me you picked up the second option, which is 2 here, so we're going to make sure we get the option that has the same ID as that 2 you picked. You understand? So now after I've done that, so after I've picked up the particular option, I'm going to make sure I also get the votes attribute of that option. You understand? So selected option dot votes. So after I got it, I'm going to add +5 to the votes. After that, I'm going to make sure I save to my database by saying selected option dot save. That's all. So Control X. I think everything should be working fine now. So get down to your browser. Let's see if everything works. Head down to the browser. Make sure you save your work. Get down to the browser. Okay, so now refresh the page. Okay, we are on the first question. So which of these favorite coding channels? So let's pick program with Mosh. So submit. Oh, we're having an error. You can see query set has no attributes objects. The mistake is from here. Sorry for my mistake. Should have been options.get instead because from here options have been listed. You can see option is already question or choices.all. I shouldn't have said options.object again. I should have just said options.get ID. So this object needs to be removed. Sorry for that mistake. So save your work now. Get down to the browser. Resend. So resend this. Okay. So we're gonna do this now. Which of these is your favorite coding channel? So pick programming with Smosh. So submit. Okay, I think it's working now. So get down to your Django admin section. Get down to the choices. I pick code programming with Smosh. So pick programming with Smosh also. You can see programming with Smosh is now 10 because I picked it twice. You understand? I picked it twice. I added so plus 5 is added to whichever one you pick after you submitted. So let's pick a different option now. So let's get down to a different poll question. Which of these are your favorite programming languages? So let's pick JavaScript or let's say Python. Submit. Okay, so let's get to the admin section now. Choices. Let's see Python. You can see Python is now 5. You can see it's working. It's working properly. So now what we need to do now is that whenever we click on the submit button, we need to get down to the result page. That's our next task now. Whenever I click on the submit button, it should redirect us down to the result page. So let's do that right now. Means once we get all we want to get is this now. Whenever just something like this. After we picked an option, once we get we want to get the same question, list of option, but now once also get the values of the votes on the right hand. So something like this. Because we have the question on the list of options, the same question from the previous one, and their values, their vote values just on the right hand side. Oh, well, that's all we need to do now. It's just so simple. So what we need to do now, we need to get onto our vote.html. You understand? So so now as I said for more, I'm going to get down to this action point here. So I need to redirect. What I need to do is I want to redirect down to the result view. The result view, you understand? So now what I want to do now, so get down to my US.py file. So I'm going to simply put this same pk, string pk, Ctrl C. I'm going to paste it here. That's it now. So save your work, get down to the, I'm going to simply say, come down here. I'll simply do this, results. So after I've done this, now I'm going to say result should be, oh no, sorry for that, URL results, and here I'm going to simply say question dot id. Now the data is being submitted to this particular view. Understand? No longer the vote view. The data is now being submitted to this particular view. So what I need to do now, just if you get onto the views.py, I'm going to simply copy all this data we have here, Ctrl C, and paste them right inside of my result view. Yes, because the data is now being submitted into the result view. So I'm going to also put in my PK, put on the PK over here. So I'm going to remove this from the vote view. Yes, it's not needed there. So what I'm going to simply leave the question and the options for the vote view. Because if we look from here, in our vote view, this is the vote view, right? So you need to have the list, the question and the list of option for the vote view. We need to have that. To have the question and the options for the vote view, we are going to leave the question here and the options. We're going to leave these two for the vote view and get the remaining down to the results view. You understand? So we have this now in the result view because the data is now being submitted to the result view. You can check the vote.html. You can see the action now points down to the result view. So what we need to do now is to go down to the result template and put in the necessary data that are needed to be there. So let's do that right now. So here's my result template. I'm going to simply put in here question. Okay, I'm going to simply say question. Okay, after I've done this, now I will simply run through the list of options for a particular question. So I have some list of options here. I need to clear others and leave just one. Now I'm going to simply run a for loop for the options. I'm going to simply say for option in options. So I'm going to end the for here. And for so what I'll simply do now is I'm going to come down here and put this and say option dot option, and for the votes, come over here and simply say option dot vote. That's what to do. So save your work now, get onto the browser, refresh the page. Okay, so it says which of this is your favorite programming language? I'm gonna pick C sharp. So submit. Oh, there's an error. It said got an unexpected keyword argument PK. So let's see our view once more. Let's see what's going on in the views.py. Oh, you can see I didn't even put this question and option in the context. That's one of my mistakes. Gonna simply say question should be equal to question, and options should be equal to option. Save. So come down again to the full.html. Is EL okay? Okay, the full.html, I think this is correct. So let's get down to the views again. Make sure we save our work once more. Save. Check the URLs.py file where we have pkxo. Save. So now what we need to do now, get onto the browser and refresh the page. Okay, you can see C sharp has 5%, it's working. So now I need to get down to the home page. So I'm going to put in the home URL on this post application. So I'm going to move down to the base.html file. So here's the post application. Okay, it's here. You can see it is here. It's here. So I have the URL already working there. So save. Get onto the browser. So click on the post application. Okay, let's pick of them. Let's pick the last question. It says which of this is your favorite text editor? So I have VS Code, Sublime Text, Bracket, and Vim. So I'm going to pick VS Code, submit. You can see now it has +5, others have zeros on them. So get down against the question. Let's say which of this is your favorite. Let's say which of this is your favorite programming language. So I'm going to pick JavaScript. Let's say Python, submit. You can see it's now 15. It keeps adding 5 continuously whenever we vote for any of them. So I'm going to say which of this is your favorite coding channel. So I'm going to pick Free Code Camp. So submit. You can see it's now 5. Programming is much 10. Others are 0. So in this video, I'm sure you've learned how to build a post application with Django. So I have the source code to this video in the description of this video. So thank you for watching this video. In the next video, we'll meet again. So have a great day, stay blessed, and bye-bye.